What is going on, Trash Talkers? We are back with another episode for you. In today's video, we're going to give you our draft profile and analysis for USC defensive end Drake Jackson. All that and much more coming your way right now! All right, Nick, with the NFL draft slowly ticking closer to us, we have yet another draft profile to get to. Today, we're going to be talking about USC defensive end Drake Jackson, the big-time D end. This guy is absolutely phenomenal, and we'll get into what he brings to the table. When you're taking a look at Drake Jackson's profile, he stands at 6'3", 254 pounds, and is PFF's ranked number 11 edge defender. When you take a look at a pro comp, Nick, you think he kind of looks like Trey Flowers. I tend to agree with that. Just in his body style, the way he looks on the football field reminds me a lot of Flowers. When you take a look at his stats, we only have his defensive end stats here because that is what he wants to primarily play in the NFL, and that's what he should be playing. He only played 1 year as a defensive end, 11 total games, 46 total tackles, 11.5 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks, 3 passes defended, and 1 forced fumble. This guy was an absolute machine. He was all over the place. There was nothing he couldn't do. Nick, why don't you tell us a little bit about the strengths and weaknesses that Drake Jackson brings to the NFL?
Yeah, with Drake Jackson, there is a lot of athleticism with this guy, and it's unfortunate that he did not get more playing time as a defensive end at USC. They decided to switch up their defensive coordinator, who thought it would be best for him to play linebacker. Well, that did not work out, and we saw that freshman sparkle fizzle away very quickly, but a lot of NFL teams will see the defensive end star power in Drake Jackson and put him back where he belongs. And when we look at that freshman tape, we'll look at that elite bend and quickness that he had coming around the edge. It was near impossible for any tackle to stop this guy with how quick and how easy he made it look to get around some of these athletic top end tackles that are even going to be in this year's draft class. He really showed that as a freshman, and he would have improved upon that if he had more playing time. He also showed how athletic he was as a linebacker, how he was able to drop back in space, kind of looked like Anthony Barr as a linebacker with his long reach ability, his big athleticism. He can really roam around the field, keep his eyes locked in on the quarterback, and work zone coverage like you wouldn't expect from a guy his size. Now, when we look at those weaknesses, though, he has limited tape, as I mentioned, and that's going to keep a lot of teams off. That is part of the reason PFF has him ranked as the number 11 defensive end, because he just does not have the tape to back it up just yet. And then when you look at his big tackles, he does a lot of arm tackling, a little too much if you ask me, and he's going to have to work on that at the next level, because when you look at some of the more athletic players that are going to be at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, that he's going to have to stop, they are going to break out of those arm tackles. He may have the grip strength for college football. It's not going to translate as much into the NFL.
When you're looking at potential fits for Drake Jackson and what he'll bring to the table, we start off with the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals losing Chandler Jones to the Las Vegas Raiders this free agency period. Drake Jackson would fill that void tremendously. He would add to yet another very young, talented defensive piece that would be built around this core, this team. Cliff Kingsbury would know exactly how to utilize this guy, put him in the position that he needs to be in to make plays. I think Drake Jackson would fit really well with the Arizona Cardinals.
Another team that's looking for an edge defender is the Green Bay Packers. With Zadarius Smith getting released from the team, they need to kind of fill that spot. And even though Devondre Campbell looked great last season, his time is better spent as a middle linebacker, and they need to fill that edge pressure role. Drake Jackson can fill that with his versatility playing D end and outside linebacker.
Another team that could look at Drake Jackson would be the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are one of those teams that really struggled getting pressure on opposing quarterbacks last season. They have to figure out this entire defensive front line. Drake Jackson could be that complementary piece to Chris Jones that they need.
And lastly, we look at the Detroit Lions, who definitely need to improve their edge pressure. They have some nice young guys on that line, and they are most likely taking one of the top edge rushers with the number 2 overall pick, but they shouldn't be done there. They should be looking at a guy like Drake Jackson, who is a very versatile player, who would work very well on this defense with all of that young star power. I believe that this is a team on the rise, and Drake Jackson should definitely be a part of it.
Overall, there's plenty of teams that could utilize Drake Jackson, and when you take a look at his film, when you understand his body of work, it is unquestionable that this guy is not the number 11 edge defender in this draft class, but he is closer to the top 5 or 6. When you see everything that he can do and put onto the table, yeah, you can drop him into coverage when need be, but at the end of the day, this guy's gonna pin his ears back and get after quarterbacks in the NFL, and that's what you want him to do. But I want to hear from you guys. Let us know in the comments down below what you think of Drake Jackson. Let us know where you want to see him end up and who your pro comp is for him. All right, well, that's going to be all for now. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. We go live every single day. That'll be all. Peace and love.